Oh, look, I think we made it to Twitch. Straight to Twitch. Hey, here we go. Set that out of hole. Yeah. On to our stream.
We're doing what?
Oh, look, I don't even pop up. What is happening? Hello, everybody. Welcome to our Twitch only exclusive PinTech live stream. You've got no picture, Wild Man? Oof, we are
what is going
suffering
on
today.
Let's get Emoto on the screen, because
I know, where am I? I'm just a box. Not even
the internet was not being cooperative today, so apologies.
I know I'm missing. Can you hear me at least? How sad.
I can hear you. Did I unplug that? Uh-oh. Hold on. No, that's plugged in. Okay.
Well,
how's everyone doing? So it's Ghost Emoto. That's actually super cool. She's like a force ghost right now.
Ghost Moto. Here we are. I gotta fix the chat box too.
We had everything set up well, but in the last like 15 minutes, everything kind of
Does anyone have any issues with Streamlabs connecting to anything?
Yeah, we were struggling getting Streamlabs to connect to Restream, which is the service we use to broadcast simultaneously to all three platforms. And then we were having problems. We were like, okay, well, heck with it. We'll just go straight to Twitch. And then, like, we couldn't connect to Twitch either. So it's just one of those days. I concur. In my personal day, it's just one of those days also.
Yeah, and this is a day that everyone is going to be bringing their questions to Kyle. All the questions that you're working on with your pinball repair projects, and you know you need another thought process, some input. Today is the day to ask Kyle about it. You can ask him anything, really.
Yeah, I was gonna say, even if you want like really bad personal advice, I can totally give you some really bad input.
Kyle just bought a house, so he might be able to help you with housing.
Yep. I can tell you how to go into debt for 30 years. Pretty easy. You just sign a bunch of papers.
We had some issues with Zoom today too.
Oh my. I'm having issues with my hands. I'm dropping everything I hold today. For whatever reason, I thought it would be a good idea to gently toss my phone onto the manual on this pinball game next to me, and I realized that was stupid. I'm having problems. Other than that,
the show must go on.
Yeah, so for better or worse.
I'm adding our Twitch chat box, and while I do that,
I can see the chat today. Holy crap!
Can you see Kyle?
Fliptronic's here. Howdy, Fliptronic. Hi, Colin. Dupus. Bat Out of Hell by Meatloaf. Yeah, I actually had some really good luck yesterday fixing pinball machines, which is fun. I was struggling for a few days. Well, not a few days. It's never a good idea to work on more than one thing at one time. I would definitely say concentrate your efforts towards one project at a time, because you can start getting lost. I got pretty lost on a couple, working on Flash and this Road Kings together. One thing at a time. I'll read the chat while Emoto's working on this. Troubleshooting stream, yeah.
Oh, I know, right? If this was pinball, we'd figure it out. Right?
Hey, we've got a question. I'm just going to start answering questions while you're trying to put yourself in here.
Yeah, I just might not come today.
High speed. Oh, okay. So someone says they have a high speed that's not ejecting the ball when you start a game. So I'm going to assume that the game boots up and you can actually start a game. You've got sounds, etc. If it's not kicking the ball out, so most of the time games need to see the balls. I don't know about high speed. I think it is true with high speed, but the game needs to know where the balls are to start a game. So that means that the switch is reporting, hey, I've got a ball here. What you need to do is you need to see all of your coils working, right? Like, is it just that one solenoid that's not working? Or when you start a game, do you have groups of them not working? That's how I would start going through the troubleshooting process. I'm going to admit I don't remember how they fuse the solenoids on that game. If they grouped them like all on one fuse or if there were like two groups of solenoids. So check there.
I made it, Kyle.
Oh, hey, you're here. We're all here.
I'm here. All right. Let's have a show. Let's do a show. Let's Q&A the heck out of Kyle today.
Stump me. I'm kind of low on blood sugar, so that means that...
well, before you get comfortable with your little project here, which you can tell us about too, let's do some housekeeping. Our 24-hour free domestic shipping for orders over $99 code is PT Black Cat. Black Cat Pinball is Kyle's alias outside of Marco Pinball. And he has like 30 black cats in his house, which is why he's called Black Cat Pinball.
30 divided by 10 is how many cats I have.
And we have a very special product spotlight for y'all today. It's a fresh off the shop, fresh out of the shop. Are you ready to do that, Kyle? And then you can sit all comfy.
Do we have the camera set up right? I don't even remember if we like got the camera done the right way.
We did.
Oh, okay. Yeah, let's take a look-see at it real quick.
Actually, that's a good point. It's always this green can.
Is it not working?
But
man, what a day.
We can see it with the Sony.
All right, let's just do it. Heck, it's not going to be ideal, but let's, here, I'll even pan the camera slightly.
Look at you, so professional.
Wow. Well, I learned everything from an actual professional, you. Pin skin. Wow.
Gotta
Look at
get your
that.
pin skins.
It's so professional looking. And then you see me, who doesn't look professional at all. Check it out. You may ask yourself how this baby Pac-Man got here. We won't be answering that question, but you may be asking why our new Led Zeppelin is covered. Well, to show off this lovely pinball cover, the pin skin. Do you live somewhere very dusty? Do you have a bunch of really evil little cats that like to put their paws all over the glass and make it pretty dirty? Do you just feel the overwhelming urge to cover your pinball machine when you're not using it? Well, you're in luck. We sell these lovely covers to cover your games. I think there's a couple different sizes, ones that are more WPC specific sizes, and one specific more for the newer Stern games. This is one that is custom fit for the new Stern games, and I have installed it on the Led Zeppelin. There are a couple of features to this that are pretty cool. If you're the kind of person that likes to... Oh, my toolbox is in the way. Here, let me move this. Oop. Oh gosh, my water is in the way now. If you're the kind of person that likes to have a super sweet custom shooter rod, there is a cutout for the shooter rod if you have something not stock. There are 2 magnets on each side at the back to hold it to the head hinge pivot pieces to keep it nice and tight. And there is also a Velcro piece to hold the 2 pieces that is the pin skin. Instead of installing it, I figured I would uninstall it. So Velcro off, lift the magnets up off the side, and the front comes off. I'm tripping over my toolbox because I thought that through very well. Set that over here, and then you've got the top bit. It's nice. It is nice to have something that fits so snugly, right? And it's not just like a big trash bag laid on top of your game. So if you want a nice form-fitted cover that isn't just a bunch of fabric, it's pretty trick. I haven't seen one for so long. I forgot that it had the magnets to keep it nice and tight to the game. I think that's pretty cool. So if you need to cover your games, we got you covered.
Pin skin.
I know that, a lot of people have their games in their basements and stuff, if you have or live in a place where basements exist, but sometimes you do other things in your basement other than just look at pinball games. So if you're, doing any woodwork or doing any sort of maintenance, to keep your games from getting covered in dust or something like that, why not cover it?
I didn't really think that about the cats being an issue because I don't own cats, and my pit bull definitely doesn't climb up on my pinball machines, but it's really, I'm sure that's an issue, right? Little footprints and hair. Do you ever find hair under the glass?
No, I'm super neurotic about cleaning things. So we have our Roomba is like the true MVP in the Black Cat pinball household. He really keeps everything clean. I named my Roomba.
The expression I'm making is for Zach Brannigan. Just says his cat has a urinary tract infection, poor guy.
Aww.
And it peed on his Black Knight though.
Aww.
Peed on the pinball machine. So you need some pin skins.
Yeah, at least the cover is washable too. I don't remember actually. Are the magnets? Here's a upgrade for Pinskin 2.0. We should, when a redesign is necessary, the magnets.
Where are you?
I'm just looking at the Pinskin. Maybe we should make the magnets removable. That way they could be washed if your cat does unfortunately have a accident on the Pinskin.
You can wash magnets.
You can, but they might stick to the drum or something weird,
Yeah, that's true.
Make a lot of noise also.
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea. Spray the cover with Never Wet.
That's a good idea.
Pee will just trickle off onto your carpet. It's good.
Zach Brannigan says he shorted out a coil on Cheetah, and you're having a hard time figuring out the transistor. You might blow it up. Well, first off, it's worthless since you shorted out a coil, so you should just sell it to me, and I'll take care of the problem. No, use your schematic. Actually, no, do this. Go back to the video we did last week. We did a little bit of troubleshooting on how to use your eyes to match the wire color, like to a lamp, fun. And then find that back to the connector that it plugs into, and then using the position where that plug goes to find the SCR that turns the lamp on. You can do the exact same thing with a transistor that drives a coil. So that might be useful for you. And, the real thing is buy a manual, because the manual will tell you what position each transistor is for each coil. So you need that.
Nice. I'm going to scroll up real quick. So Wildman999999 says, I'm having a problem with my funhouse. The bottom display is not working. I've reseated the ribbon cables and checked the 2 resistors on the display board, but not sure where to go next. I have the schematics.
Is it an original high voltage display, or is it an LED replacement? I forget. I shouldn't forget. It's been so long since I've seen a funhouse or Bride of Pinbot, but I think you might.
It's an original.
It is an original? Okay, well, I think so. What you want to do is first off make sure that the glass isn't blown out, right? did it just like mysteriously stop working at some time? I think there is a way you might be able to switch the cables up to send the data that's meant for the top display to the bottom display, or vice versa. So, you could swap-a-roo and see if it's a data problem. I think you should see filaments lighting up just a little bit.
Just the bottom half is not working.
Yeah,
maybe that would work.
If it's just the bottom half, you've probably got voltage, right? The voltage is making its way there. So now you just need to figure out if it's a data problem or if you've actually got a dead glass. I would try and see. I wish I had a schematic in front of me or an actual picture of the thing, because we could figure out how to like swap the data lines, right? If you had no data going to the bottom display and you plugged it into the top one, and it still wasn't working, okay, you might have a data problem. But it's display problems are hard because there is that like that condition of just like, well, the glass is just dead, right? And you can't really do much to figure out if the glass is dead other than try putting in a working display or something like that. That's honestly your best solution in this problem. And it's something that...
Swap it with a pin score? Can you do that?
You can swap it with a pin score or a working display, from someone else's game or something like that. It is a luxury, right? But the easiest way to fix a problem is to swap it out with something else that works. I'll go into a story about that with me fixing all these early Williams boards later, but I do see like questions swinging by.
So we have Craig here saying, I have a Terminator 2 and I get balls trapped in the skull that feeds the cannon. Any hints on how to prevent those balls from getting stuck?
Are they stuck, or is the switch, because when you get it into the skull, right, it goes into is that where the popper is, and it sends the ball up and over to the cannon, right? You want to make sure in this issue, it's like, is the ball getting stuck, or is the switch not reading the ball, and then the software cannot complete its task?
Yeah, Craig said yes.
Yes, as in the switch isn't reading the ball. So go into switch test, right? Knock the drop target down and just kick the ball in there on switch test. I think on Terminator that's a micro switch, if I remember right. Micro switches can get lazy. Get in there and actuate the thing. Make sure that there is no physical debris in there. I mean, sometimes a rubber can break and can be, shot up into that hole to keep it from actuating all the way. But that's one time when you do want to use like the embedded diagnostic capabilities of the game. It can be pretty helpful to just roll the ball in there. If the ball goes into that up kicker and it actuates and then unactuates really fast or something, you're getting a flaky reading. Just replace the micro switch.
I think they're like stuck. Like he can't get them out. He has two balls stuck in the head. One goes to the cannon, and the other one is stuck and not in the launcher.
It's stuck. The simple answer is find it. Start shaking the game. Get to the side of it and push it. Like, see if you can dislodge the thing. But it is common for that switch and the up kicker to... it just gets worn out. I mean, it's a shot that you make on that game all the time. And after 20, 30 years of the ball being slammed against that micro switch, they wear out.
Yeah, good luck with that. Let us know. If you're working on it now, then you can come back with more feedback. Wildman's going to swap his ribbon cables. And
that's a good idea.
Hold on, there was another one. Oh, THM 655321. My getaway has lost all sound. Oh no. Cabling and wiring looks good. Where else can I look to fix it?
It's not enough just to look at it and say, does it look good, right? You need to start swapping parts at this time. And when I try to get people to swap parts, right, you want to start with the cheap stuff. So start with the ribbon cable. You can get a ribbon cable set from us that will be, every ribbon cable used in that game. That might be a good idea. But start with a ribbon cable. If you're missing some address data from the computer that's trying to tell the soundboard to go, that'll kill it. And if you fix it with a $5 ribbon cable, thumbs up. But when you're troubleshooting stuff like that, always start with the easy, cheap stuff before you start jumping into more complicated stuff. I run into that problem all the time. When I was working on, like I said, I was working on a Flash and a Road Kings, and it's really easy to get fixated on a problem where you find an issue and you say, that's it. And sometimes there are more underlying things that can be causing that issue instead of fixating on like the overarching umbrella problem. I was having a problem where I couldn't get a blanking signal on flash. I verified that the computer reset, and then I went to go check for blanking, and I didn't have blanking. And I just totally got fixated on that, but I forgot that like there is an order to the way that these computers boot up, right? And blanking happens after the program is running. So I failed like troubleshooting 101 on those computers. You always swap all socketed chips. It's easy, and you might solve your problem there. If I would have listened to troubleshooting 101, I would have replaced the software, and I would have found that I had bad EPROMs and the game wasn't booting. And since the game wasn't booting this program, it wouldn't give a blanking signal, which wouldn't let it run. So anyways, that was my frustration yesterday.
So going back to Craig, he says he has to take the glass off every time to manually retrieve the stuck balls.
Yeah, so here's the thing. So what you need to do is, I mean, again, if it's getting stuck under the skull, you need to put the game into switch test, and you need to roll the ball in there. Don't use your finger. Roll the ball in there multiple times, and make sure that every time that that ball hits the up kicker, it has a good solid, hey, this switch is closed. If you roll it in there and it activates and then deactivates, replace the switch. If it's doing anything other than rolling it in there and giving a good solid I'm closed, replace the switch. It's not worth your time to sit there and finagle with a $6 switch, right? Just replace it and you'll likely be good, if that's the problem. And lots of the time it is.
Yeah, hopefully it's something simple like that.
It's usually something simple.
So the Crisp 12 has a conundrum. They completely tore down a creature and got completely lost putting it back together. Any secrets?
That's where it really comes down to experience and like being able to look for like clues, right? Where things used to be or used to live.
Pinball archaeologist. What did you?
No, that's kind of what I do for a job, right? But you need to, you're looking for clues to be like, okay, where was this post or where was this metal post or something like that. Creature is a pretty complicated game. It's not a fun game to take apart and put back together. What I would suggest with the power of community, you should be able to go online and maybe find someone really nice with a creature that might have pictures or take a photo for you if you're really stuck on one item. Pinside does have a good like section where they have all of the like shop out pictures where people will like upload photos of, you know, the game taken apart, and sometimes that can be pretty handy too.
Yeah, good luck.
Yeah, it's tough, man. That's not fun, but trial and error, right? A lot of the times pieces will only go in one spot. I've mentioned a few techniques, like I think when we were working on roller games like a year ago. But like, you know, lay the plastics down and you've got little cutouts on the plastics where like a stud will poke through. And that way you know it's like, okay, a screw doesn't go here, but a stud goes here. There's little things you can do to help yourself out there.
Yeah. Yeah, and like a lot of the people are saying in the chat, thanks for everyone helping out in the chat too. That's awesome. So like Bad Out of Hell said, go to highendpins.com. He has a lot of restoration photos that could probably help you. And then Rob put in a good tip saying, of course, always take lots of pictures when tearing down.
Yeah.
And if you don't, then you get to play the big puzzle.
I kind of wish I took pictures of Indy 500 because it's been so long since I've touched that game.
You can watch the live stream, so you only have to watch like 8 hours of it.
I'll have to watch myself to figure out how to put that game back together. But that's what I'm doing on Saturdays. So.
Kyle, we have another question. This is from good old Colin Baxter. I have a buddy that has an F14 and a Pinbot.
Great games.
That has just a single display out. Need to check to see if it's gas, but check voltage to each display? ?
So the voltages for the displays are carried on the ribbon cable. So if you have bad ribbon cables, again, that's where you want to start. The cheapest, easiest solution. Try the ribbon cables. If that doesn't work, then you start doing like actual troubleshooting. With Williams games, I think this is true. Sorry. I think even in that era, the display data was, I think the word is multiplexed, but what they would do is they would send data to like the same set of data for displays 1 and 3 and 2 and 4 and credit match would be sent on the same line. So you'll learn to like be able to discern those if it's like a data problem or if it's a singular problem. If you had displays like 1 and 3 out, then you might have a problem with data or information coming in because it shares the same data line. If you just have one display out, you most likely have nasty ribbon cables. So order new ones, unplug them, replug them, swap ends, and make sure that you have a good connection there. But they can go bad. I mean, that's really a common thing to have ribbon cables die. So, oh, I unsoldered the wrong thing. That's why I can't get it to come out.
Oh my, this is what's happening. What are you working on, Kyle? Just so we can satiate our curiosity while we ask you questions.
Oh, I'm working on an early Flash soundboard. The later ones that were in the, I don't remember the actual difference, but the way you can identify them, I think, is the really early ones for like the first solid state sound games only had one fuse on the board, and then the later ones had like a different arrangement of the capacitors and 2 fuses. I forget why. I don't know. I could probably give a more elegant explanation if I looked at the manuals. But with all old Williams games, when you're working on these things, you need to do 2 things. One thing is remove the evil Scanby sockets. I have done that. Well, I am working on that. These are evil and cause every single problem with those games ever. So these have to come out. The other thing is replace your electrolytic capacitors. You've got capacitor juice coming out of this guy. So that's definitely a bad cap. But it's easy and quick. We'll replace all the electrolytics. Then I have to come in here and resocket all of these chips, and then we will most likely have a working soundboard. That's the rule to working on these Williams games.
Nice.
Scanby sockets must go. I have a pile of them right here because I've been working on so many of those
and just getting
boards.
Nice. So Bat Out of Hell has a little paragraph for you. Kyle, I'm going back up this weekend to try to finish up Black Hole and Haunted House.
Okay.
Black Hole is having an issue where none of the non-controlled 38-volt solenoids are firing. Pops, flippers, maybe something else. I remember you saying that the circuit is pretty simple, but please, I added the please, help me understand what might be making all of those not work. Fuse is intact. Bridge rectifier checks out. Voltage at all the coils. None are firing. Maybe you could tell me what would actuate those bits.
Okay, here, new rule. No System 80 questions, so skip that one. No.
Dang.
Honestly, man, what you're going to need to do, your best solution here, this is how you do things like efficiently. Because again, like, we're all curious. We all want to know what's going on and what the problems with our games are. But, you know, your time is also valuable. Bring a working set, bring a working computer, bring a working driver board from your System 80 games, take it up to go work on the customer's games, and swap the boards over. If it works, then you may have a problem with your computer, the set of electronics in the customer's game, right? The goal is to reduce the amount of possibilities, right? You're trying to find what is in common with where the problem is. So, right, I mean, so it looks like it's booting, right? The computer's booting up. So maybe just bring your driver board and your interconnect cable and swap those in. And if suddenly everything starts working, there you go. You know where your issue is at this point. It is either the interconnect cable or it's the driver board. And then you can start to pinpoint and figure out where the issue actually lies. I was kind of starting to mention this. It is a luxury to have, like, you know, all of these parts at your disposal, but a good working set of boards is also your, like, most powerful weapon in trying to solve these issues. Again, right, when I was working on that Flash, the computer needs the driver board to boot up. If the driver board is no good, the computer won't boot. You cannot boot the computer without the driver board. I was lucky enough to have the time warp here, right? So I was able to figure out that my problem with Flash was in the computer by removing the driver board, installing it into time warp, and it worked, right? So right there, I totally eliminated anything to do with the driver board. I knew every single problem I had was now with the computer, and that allows you to narrow your scope of search. So I know you have more System 80 games, so I would take them, your working electronics, and bring them over to see if you can identify the problem. So
Nice.
don't throw away anything, make everything work again, and then you have a useful set of diagnostic tools.
He said the 38-volt section doesn't pass through any of the boards. Goes straight from the bridge rectifier to the coils, I think. But yes, this time I will be bringing up all my refurbished OEM boards. Thanks. And very thorough. I appreciate it.
I need to look at those games again. The only System 80 game I have right now is my Night Moves, and I've never had to do anything to it except for like swap a ribbon cable once. But yeah, I just don't remember. Gottlieb did so many goofy things. But again, if you've got juice at the bridge rectifier, right, you need to follow it one way to the other. So start at the source. If the 38 volts really only comes from the supply, and then it travels its way to all the coils, and then other things dictate whether they go or not. You said that there was juice on the coils, right? So now it seems like it could be an electronics problem. So try a new driver board. Who knows? They're so complicated. Just like the annoying Williams system, like one thing can cause so many issues, and they never included any like usable diagnostics in either of those systems, which is really frustrating. They're very difficult to pinpoint where issues are. I hate them, but I love them because it's pinball. So,
So real-time tilt, this is a little back there, said, I have a high-speed 2, the getaway, and the ball does not run smoothly in the supercharger. Ugh. It clunks around, but at a fast clip. Is there a way to align the supercharger track?
Well, where is it clunking? A lot of times with the getaway, if one of the magnets and one of the optos isn't firing right, it can do all sorts of weird, awful things. So what I'd suggest is, like, first make sure that put it in Supercharger Test and make sure that everything's firing at the right time. The way that thing works is there is an opto pair just a few millimeters away from every magnet, and in the supercharger on getaway there's 3 magnets. So what it does is the ball launches up the ramp, right? And it hits one of those optos, and if it's lit for supercharger, if it hits that opto, it pulses the magnet to pull it in. And then it takes another opto, and if it sees the ball, it pulls them. And that's what keeps it flinging around, right? Rinse and repeat 3 times. It will do all sorts of weird stuff if only one magnet isn't working. If it doesn't hit like the correct velocity, it can do all sorts of goofy stuff. So I'd suggest like just starting there and make sure that everything is functioning the way it should before you start doing like physical changes. You might be surprised and find an opto unsoldered or something goofy like that. Which is easy then, because it's just an opto.
Pinball Pleasure just asked, is that a Williams System 3.6 soundboard?
Yeah, this is an early System 3 or System 3.4 soundboard. I believe the difference is that Flash was a very interesting game. Flash was the highest selling pinball machine of all time in 1979. And this game uniquely spans 2 systems. So they originally designed it for what we call System 4. And then in its production, they switched it to another set of hardware, System 6, which is what games like Firepower and Time Warp function on. So there's a lot of different hardware that went into Flash. An interesting tidbit about Flash is they actually had plenty of orders coming in for the game, but they wanted to leave the market wanting. which I think is really interesting. Again, Flash sold like 19,000 units in 1979. That's nuts, right? When you're looking at the amount of games that were sold prior, we're talking like, 4-digit numbers. Flash was a massive, massive seller. And the bigwigs at Williams decided to leave the market wanting and kind of shut orders down. For better or worse, who knows? Kind of neat, though.
Crazy. Rob046 said, I have a problem with my hard body not being a Led Zeppelin LE. How do I fix that? I had to read it.
There's so many answers I want to give to this. You have no problem. Hard body is an
retheme hard body.
No, that's criminal. Hard body is a great game. But you know what? You could buy a Led Zeppelin Premium from your local pinball distributor. It's almost an LE. It just costs less and is not numbered and has different art. You will be very satisfied with it.
But it's not hard body, and it doesn't have flex saves.
Yeah. I'm not reading the chat at all. Jeez.
It's okay. I'm reading it for you.
Thank you.
Plus, I have to scroll up to find...
Oh, witness marks. That Nolan Elric.
Witness
That's exactly what I was trying to say. Witness marks. Oh, that was such a long time ago.
Thanks.
Can you bring... Colin Baxter says, can you bring your bow and arrow and do a tech talk? We're going to eventually. I want to do EMs, but the thing is like I know that I can give good tips all day for doing like some solid state stuff. With EMs, like I might have a super backwards way of fixing something, and I don't. But I guess that's okay, right? Because someone else is going to say, Kyle, there's an easier way to do it. I guess I just don't want to give out bad information. And again, all of this information is my opinion for the most part, so take it as you wish.
It would be cool to get Mr. Volansky on the Streamlabs for that.
Absolutely.
He is an EM wizard. Oh, wow. What just happened?
I've got some...
Real-Time Tilt said, we'll give it a shot again. Thanks. It clunks as it passes over the entrance ramp. This is the getaway too. Yeah. And into the first corner before it enters the magnet tunnel.
So, okay, so here's something fun. Everybody has like some of the most powerful troubleshooting tooling in their pocket. Go stand next to your game, have someone play, and open your iPhone or Android or whatever you have and put it in slow motion camera and frame the shot, right? Have someone nail that shot multiple times and then review the footage, and that will tell you exactly what's going on. It might be hitting like the entrance gate weird, or maybe your ramp is tightened down too far, or your spring steel flap is bent, and when it hits it, it's getting air and then bouncing up against the ramp, and it's just not smooth. Use that tool to your advantage. It's come in very, very handy for me in many occasions, and actually a lot of times I've used it to solve high-speed issues when the magnets and optos weren't firing in unison. So. Give that a shot.
That's a really cool tip. Yeah, that's smart. I think you told me to do that before for some of my things. THM655321 says, every time I turn on my Twilight Zone, I get factory restored. Ooh, batteries are good, but still on the PCB board. Will getting the batteries off the board fix it?
No, but getting the batteries off the board will probably show you why you have a problem. I'm almost going to guarantee you have acid damage. Your battery's leaked at some point, and it's corroded and eaten away at the traces that continue to feed your RAM the voltage it needs to remember stuff. So I would recommend taking your computer out, ripping the battery holder off, either by unsoldering it, which could be difficult because I will probably, again, I will very confidently say you're going to find some acid damage there. Get a set of flush cutters, and you could cut the battery holders, or if you have use a dull pair, because they'll still cut through, but it will really significantly dull a new pair of flush cutters. And I'm going to guarantee you'll find some acid damage there.
What do you do if you find acid damage?
You decide if the computer's worth fixing, or you go and purchase a replacement. A lot of times with those WPC computers, even if the damage hasn't gotten down to the switch level components, right, all those resistors and stuff that work the switch matrix, you know, you'll be able to fix them, but when I work with customers and I want to make sure I never have to go out and fix their game again, you know, right after I deliver it to them, sometimes it's just in your best interest to just bite the bullet, buy a new computer, and call it a day. They're fun to fix, so it might be worth getting a new computer and enjoying your Twilight Zone while then trying to learn how to address the acid damage. Especially if you have multiple WPC games, you'll have a spare computer once you fixed it.
How do you fix acid damage off a board?
You have to physically remove it. It's a science, and there's a lot of work that goes into it.
Pour vinegar on it?
No, you would use the batteries that
no
are alkaline, so you have to use an acid to neutralize them. But even chemically neutralizing the corrosion is not like a perfect fix. So that's the thing. It's like, you know, I keep using this analogy, but when I charge what I charge, it would only take me about 2 or 3 hours to try to get the computer clean into a good state. You might as well just buy a new one at that point, because you know, acid damage is evil and it can hide. And you might be like, oh, look, I fixed it, and great, now it works. And then you go put it in your game, and a year later, you might have acid damage somewhere else, and you're going to have to take the thing out.
It's like bed bugs.
Yeah, seriously. So sometimes it's just in your best interest to replace the thing, and you could use it as a tool to learn later. So I think a new WPC computer only runs a couple $100, so 300 something bucks. You can buy them from our friend Keith at K's Arcade. He just recently redesigned the computer and offers a really good replacement with a few upgrades in it also over the standard computer. So it's a good upgrade.
I got asked, Emoto, what do you know about bed bugs? I read lots of reviews before I stay at hotels to see if there are bed bugs. And I know they're itchy. And people who've had them before are then always paranoid about bed bugs.
That's so scary.
And bring their own sheets when they go places.
Let me give a pro tip.
I don't want to get in that situation.
Also, really quick about WPC computers. There is a chip on the WPC computer called the ASIC. I forget what it stands for now, but it's like Williams had this chip made that was like a proprietary chip that did like a bunch of different things, whatever. And it's the big square thing on your computer. If you are going to buy a new computer, we sell them. You can get an ASIC chip puller, and that way you can very safely remove that very rare and expensive to replace chip from your old computer, stuff it into your new one, replace the components that you can remove and put it in the new one, and you're good to go. I think, Steve, if you would...
Thank goodness MGM Studios
thank you.
corrected his typo, because I was about to say application-specific integrated circuit.
Yeah,
so application-specific integrated circuit.
So I think it might have been something Williams did to kind of prevent like copying, right? Because someone smart could sit down, look at that computer, and be like, oh, well, this uses a 6809 processor, blah, 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 this. It uses this RAM, this, and they could knock off that computer. So one of the things Williams did to prevent like piracy is to introduce the application-specific integrated circuit. Williams went to Motorola and says, hey, we need this chip to do these things. Do it. So there are other ASIC chips that exist for other applications, but the specific ASIC chip for the WPC computer is specific to that computer. They are drying up, they're very hard to find, and they're very expensive. What we pay for them is not much less than what we sell them for. They're very expensive and hard to find. So, you know, don't just throw your old computer away. Save the ASIC, please. If I can say save the whale, save the ASICs also.
Save the ASIC.
There will be a point when they just don't exist anymore, and like that is very problematic. We're running into that, right? I'm working on this Road Kings we have here. The Soundboard uses these in the 80s, very common Yamaha synthesizer voice chips, but nowadays they're difficult to find, right? They don't exist anymore. They've been obsolete for 30-something years. So you run into problems with these sorts of chips, and you see it a lot in sound stuff. You either have people that will take a similar sized chip and sand the old information off and re-screen them to say like, yes, this is this chip, and you end up buying a fake. So definitely try to only buy chips from a respectable source, right? If you go on eBay, you never know what you're gonna get. Definitely don't recommend eBay for buying anything like that. Or just really vet your source, right? You can find, sometimes eBay is a great place to find that rare stuff, but yeah, anyways.
All right, we have a question from Shelter in Rock, if you're still here. They said, I rebuilt the pop bumper on my F14 and suddenly 57 and 58 right and left slings won't fire.
Okay, so on F14 System 11 games, they had, I guess all the early Williams games, they had something called a special solenoid that kind of had like its own dedicated path to firing. So the computer didn't have to like think before it did something. Remember, we're dealing with like we're very, very, very slow computers, and pinball's a very fast game. On F14, your special solenoids are going to be like your pop bumper, your slingshots. I think also on that game, the special solenoid is, one of them is also the diverter coil, which loves to burn up, especially when they're on free play. I digress. You most likely shorted solenoid voltage to ground, or to your switch matrix. Go into switch test and see if those switches work. If not, maybe that's where I'd start. Anyway, I know that I've had that problem before. Anyone who's ever worked on a pinball machine has accidentally shorted solenoid voltage to the switch matrix. It happens. And that might be exactly what happened to you. So switch test and see if those switches are reporting. Because remember, if the computer cannot see those switches closing, it cannot make other things happen.
And just a reminder to anyone that just came into the room a little bit late, we are doing a full Q&A episode today. Kyle's doing some, anti-idle hands work over there on a soundboard, but he is here to answer your questions, your pinball project repair questions.
Yeah,
you're stuck.
Hopefully.
He's a good answer.
Hopefully giving good advice. Trying to get people to at least look in the right direction.
So far has been great.
Hopefully. It's again, it's like anyone who says that they're an expert at anything is like wrong, right? And I am not an expert at anywhere near an expert at this, but I do have enough experience to help people troubleshoot and at least not get stuck in a rut. But it happens, right? I mean, I got stuck in a rut the other day trying to get that damn flash working, and you gotta. A real good troubleshooting tip sometimes is to just step away from the dang thing and come back later. Sometimes stepping away and thinking through a problem is a good way to come up with your next attack plan, because there's so many times I could sit there with my oscilloscope and poke the same dang pins, like, why is blanking not happening? It's not going to change anything, right? So sometimes it's best to just step away and see what you can find. Okay.
In regards to that question too, Kyle, with the slings, Shelter and Rock says, so what do I do if I did short it? What's the next step? Well,
we need to look at I'm going to claim, I don't remember. We need to look at the manual to figure out, you blew a switch column driver, most likely, is what happened. And I'll just go get a System 11 manual. Give me a sec. Let's take a look.
Hey, look at that. We got you, Shelter and Rock. Let's get those slings firing up, hopefully.
Well, let's go look, because I kind of don't remember. I don't remember how the special solenoids are wired up, and I don't remember what they report to. I don't think they report to anything different, right? I think the only thing different with special solenoids is that, like, they can fire and do whatever they want whenever they want. But this is a straight System 11 computer. I think F14 is going to use a similar switch setup, so we'll find out. Because remember, there are many, many versions of the System 11 computer set, but the biggest difference in the System 11 computers is mostly how audio was done. They realized very quickly that the audio section that they included on the computer was not up to snuff. Okay, so I see here we've got there's six drivers here. So I think in this manual, this is showing the special solenoids. And
can you move the camera over a little bit so we can see?
Yeah, let me figure out what we're looking at before I try to actually do something. Because I do see here, I mean, we're talking SS5, SS2, SS1, so that's a special solenoid. Now, I need to remember, let's look at the matrix. This manual is trashed. So, well, it looks, okay, so I'm going to assume that your F14 is probably wired the same, but it looks like what we have here is we have one column of switches that is all special solenoids, right?
Down just a little bit more. Sorry.
No, it's fine. But maybe I'm wrong. I mean, no, I'm not right, because this game does have 3 pop bumpers. But here's the thing, right? So on Road Kings, I wish I had an F14 manual. Look for these sorts of things in your manual, and this might help you figure it out. If all of the special solenoids on your game are on one switch column, which has its own transistor, which pulses and is looking for signals, right? If all of those things are on one column, that's easy. You blew the column driver for that switch. So you just need to figure out which column driver it is and replace it. On this game, we see that the left, right, and bottom bumper, those switches are on one column, but then on the kickers or the slingshots are on a different switch column. So if I accidentally shorted solenoid voltage to another one of these pop bumpers, that could cause this column to go out, which would mean none of them would work. So I guess what your goal is to, the advice I would give you is find the slingshots on your switch matrix. Is the pop bumper included there? Yes. Verify that everything else on that column does not work, and then you replace the transistor, which is Q47 in this place here. So those are the sorts of like deductive things you need to kind of figure out. If nothing else in that column works, then you know that you've blown that drive. And let's see. So here's the switch drives here. The switch strobes, they're 2N3904s, and there are 8 of them because there are 8 columns and 8 rows that make up a switch matrix. Let me show that in the manual just in case you're looking around. So that's what it looks like here. We do see it says switch matrix drives in the corner there, where my finger is poking at the top. So ST7 is strobe 7, ST8 strobe 8. And then what we see here is if we go backwards towards the logic level stuff, right? We've got the connectors or whatever to the strobe. It all looks like it passes through a resistor, capacitor array. Then you've got your transistor here, another resistor array, and then all of that is driven by a chip U40. So I would start with replacing a blown drive, and hopefully you don't need to blow this chip out. Usually when the transistor itself blows up, nothing else downstream gets hurt. So does that make sense?
Nice.
Sort of?
Oh, we're getting rated.
Uh-oh.
Johnny didn't know.
Whoa. Hey, thanks. Portland friends.
Thanks for rating us.
We love
Yay.
you. We're talking about boring fixing of pinball machines, not exciting,
Welcome
fun.
to school.
Yeah.
It's pinball school. Okay, let me go back. Nolan, is this a serious question? I can never tell with you.
Highlight
Nolan
it.
says, Mr. Spiteri, why do the diverters on my NBA fast break fire at seemingly random times and make loud noises while holding?
I don't know. You know, honestly, okay, I'm going to be totally honest. I don't remember NBA Fast Break super well. That's like that game and Junkyard are like two games that I've only like really taken apart once. So I would suggest like if they fire at random, maybe they're getting an input that they're not supposed to. So make sure that whatever switch is supposed to drive or trigger that diverter is not being erroneously triggered. If it's an opto, maybe they're dirty. Maybe there's some cracked solder. If there's a switch, you know, maybe it's stuck on a teeny piece of wax in the playfield somewhere. I always like to look at those things first with the simple stuff. Like, what causes this to do this? If it's a switch, well, let's look at the switch first. You know, if it's something loosey-goosey, I mean, put it in switch test and bang on the playfield. And if something starts clicking on and off, well, maybe you've got a bummer switch somewhere. I don't know, though. I wish I had more NBA fast break time.
Yeah, let's get two of them, right?
I wish. Yeah, well, that's what my favorite thing at California Extreme, the best, greatest pinball show in the world. My friend TJ, he has two NBA fast breaks that are linked, and he brings them every year, and it is so much fun to play linked fast break. It's one of my favorite games. George Gomez really did some fun, unique stuff.
TJ has all the fun toys.
Yeah, TJ's the best.
Fast break is so cool when they're linked.
Let's test the, let's see how these 40-year-old capacitors, if they are up to capacitance, because this is going to be funny.
Okay, I'm going to switch over to this camera,
then
we're going to ask more questions in a second.
Okay, yeah, keep asking. 470 microfarad capacitor. It is very old, and it has 507 microfarads of capacitance. This was good, but now it gets to go to the eternal resting place of electronics recycling.
All right, Zach Brannigan says, I lost power to one side of my flippers on skateball. Any suggestions? Not a loose wire, but I did just replace the coils. They were working fine, then nothing. But it's both flippers not working.
Wait, both flippers aren't working?
Yeah, hey, that's confusing.
Yeah, I thought it was one.
First, it was I lost power to one side of my flippers.
Well,
but now it's both flippers not working.
The flipper circuit is like the simplest circuit in that game. And you know what? I happen to have a Bally schematic right here. Let's look at it. You've got, here, the first thing to do is just open the back glass and wiggle the top left connector on the driver board. That is where all of your flipper juice comes in and out. And if that is a old driver board that's never been fixified, you're going to want to fixify it and reflow the solder.
One side, because duh, Kyle, it's a 4-flipper game.
On one side?
So one side doesn't work. Like the two left flippers don't work.
Well, if you just rebuilt them, then check your work first, right? Go and make sure that you have, make sure that your end of stroke switches are actually closed and clean, and make sure that, the wires haven't fallen off of your flipper coils or something like that. Check the simple stuff first. The other thing is going to be, again, just to look at that connector, because if you've got cracked solder there, you might be getting voltage to one flipper and not the other one.
It's
because
both on the right side.
They have separate returns. Let me see.
Are you looking at a skateball manual?
No, I'm looking at the strikes and spares one, but I'm trying to find the most eloquent place to show.
Yeah, he said he checked.
I mean, here's this is the switch matrix. This doesn't really matter so much, but so a lot of people say it's like, well, my game is, the game works except for only the flippers work, but nothing else. Well, on Bally games, every single playfield solenoid is fused on a 1 amp Slobo fuse under the playfield. Your flippers, basically get the juice, and then the fuse happens, right? So 6-0, I think that's a yellow wire. Let's look back at our color code really quick. I mean, heck, I wish we could just open up the game, but no, it's brown. I'm sorry. So 6-0. So you've got juice coming in here, right? Brown, 43 volts, and then it gets fused. This might be different on your skate ball, but this circuit is extraordinarily simple. The juice is present at the flippers all the time, and a path to ground is given to the flippers at the A3, J1. A3 is the solenoid driver board, J1 is the top left plug. So what happens is, it's common to get cracked solder there, especially if you've never serviced that board before. And that's most likely what's causing it. You've got one return that is cracked. I guarantee you, I almost would say if you wiggle that thing, it might start working again. If both flippers weren't working, you might have a problem with the flipper enable relay. There is a relay that has to be activated before the flipper starts to do stuff. But yeah, I'd check there first. I wish I could eloquently explain this, but stuff is as best as I can come up with right now. It's a very simple circuit. There's really, if it's not cracked solder, it's going to be something very simple.
Oh man, give it a try. Let us know what happens.
Yeah. But yeah, if it's only one flipper, either cracked solder or you've got an end of stroke switch that ain't working. Because on those older on those Bally games, you've got the double-sided end of stroke switch. So what happens is when the flipper hits its end of stroke, it creates the low power, or it opens up the winding for the, or combines the windings for the low power, or the holding side of the coil, sorry. And then when it opens that switch, it closes another switch, which is the upper flipper switch. So you've got one actual switch in the cabinet. On some Williams games, they actually had two switches in the cabinet. So the first one would do the lower, and the more you push it in, the upper flipper would go. Bally did it on the end of stroke switch. That was the world's longest explanation. I'm sorry.
No, it's good. It's a good explanation.
I'm super surprised that these things are all still good, but we've got leaky juice on this capacitor. I bet we're going to hook this up, and we're not going to get 12,000 microfarads, or will we?
Oh. Who wants to make some bets? Oops, not that camera.
We do, actually.
Oh, we can't see.
Huh.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
Or wait, we 21? Huh. Whatever. It doesn't matter. It's a cheap old crappy capacitor. You don't need to check for capacitance.
Running out of batteries?
What's up?
Is your batteries running out in your meter?
Oh, most likely. Yeah, and that could be causing a weird reading too, so. Checking it is entertaining, but you know what?
Oh no! Manu. Mystery Pinball Theater 3000 is in here.
Oh no.
Manu says, I burned a coil on Bonsai Run, Kyle. It's like using Kyle's name in vain. Kyle!
You shouldn't have been so mean to it last week when you were playing it, man.
Yeah, how do you do that?
Which coil did you burn up? That's terrible. Whose game is that? Sean's Bonsai Run?
Oh, I miss Sean. IndiePins asked, what meter are you using to measure the capacitors?
I think we sell this tool on our website, actually, but it's just it's an auto-ranging capacitance meter. It's more of a curiosity, right? It's like with everything that we're working on, you should just replace the capacitors. But it's kind of fun to measure them, right? Because now I know that this blue guy here was actually doing its job. It was still working 40 years on, 50 years on. No. What year is it?
I got it.
40-something years, whatever.
It's 2021.
I've learned to never try to do math on live.
Pop bumper coil.
A pop bumper coil? Uh-oh.
That same day right after you left.
Yeah,
with Sean's.
That's sad. I'm sorry.
He's gonna cry.
You should cry about it. But you know what? It's fixable. I'm going to work on desoldering some of these Scanby sockets now.
All right. we'll ask Colin's question, and then I'm going to pose a PinTech homework for you guys.
Homework.
Start thinking about homework due next week. So Colin Baxter asked, question of the day. He loves this question. What beer are we drinking for Thirsty Thursday?
Oh man, it's you know what? It's all German beer for me, man. I'm gonna the shout out to like the 3 people in Columbia, South Carolina that may or may not be watching this. Beer Keller, Columbia. Amazing, super authentic, delicious German beers. I do kind of want to see if I can get some Heady Topper. I might go to the bottle shop this weekend if I have time. But it's I'm going to be drinking some delicious Rauch beer. It's a northern Bavarian specialty. It translates to smoked beer. So they use a lot of smoky malts, and it's delicious. Oh, it'd be help if my soldering iron was hot, wouldn't it?
Yeah, like, this isn't working. I'm not sniffing that smoke.
Someone's done some weird tracing on this board. I think that this was a factory suggested upgrade or something to these boards. So I have no idea if this board works, but I am going to reassemble it the same exact way that I took it apart. And then if it does not work, I will put it back to factory and we will start troubleshooting
look at that
it.
Wiring.
Again, this was a soundboard they only used in a few games, and then they upgraded it, so. Or did something else with it. But we're going to be removing very gently all of the teeny little pins that make up the Scanby sockets, the evil Scanby sockets.
Daniel says he's drink Ozuko beer. You should probably look. I totally butchered that one.
Where is it? Oh, man, I'm not going to. Sorry, with the Slavic languages, I'm not going to try to embarrass myself, Daniel.
Zuchko.
I've had some Croatian beer before. I used to live above a Eastern European store, and I would always go down there to buy very, very inexpensive bottles of Polish beer and get some frozen pierogies and bread and delicious pickled herring. Balling on a budget, man.
Colin says his daughter's boyfriend just bought his first 2 pins. Oh, congratulations.
Yeah.
Demo Man. Wow, Demo Man is a first pin. That's awesome.
Did you get the Go ahead.
What? Yeah. Let me finish the question, bruh. He's telling me that the Cryo Claw is saying out of range. One of those 12-volt connectors to the opto board is a little toasty. So I'm going to replace the connector, but anything else to check for that?
Start there. That thing's a giant pain in the rear.
Oh,
that thing and the Johnny Mnemonic claw, they're both annoying. Start by getting the 12 volts nice and working correctly. Then you have to check all your optos and make sure that the motor is able to travel its entire range. That's where you want to start.
Everyone's still on Colin's beer talk.
Beer is the important question of the day.
We need to just start a new segment. Colin's beer, Thirsty Thursday. Kirk Hobbs says, I'm reading these out too because I'm sure you would enjoy it. My favorite German beers are Hefeweizen from Weizenstephaner.
Weizenstephaner? Yeah, that's good stuff.
Kaner.
Wait, hold on. We're talking beer now? I'm going to start paying attention here.
Schoferhofer.
Schoferhofer. I've never had that one. I like, my favorite beer is still, I know Andy, Hang Loose, Loose Flip Andy. He does not like Kolsch. Kolsch is definitely my favorite style of German beer. It is a Rhinish beer done in Cologne. It's very delicious. But
oh, that's awesome, Kirk. Kirk's wife is German and he's Australian.
Good combo.
Oh, the beer that Daniel said was the best Croatian beer. And Zach Brannigan says Shelves brews some really good box and a smooth dark.
My friend Scott at Beer Keller is brewing a bock right now as well. It's a traditional German bock, so it's light. a very light drinkable beer. It's not a dark beer, but it's still, it's a light beer that drinks like a lager, but it is like almost 8% ABV. So it's nasty. Nasty in a, it will get the inebriation job done quick kind of nasty, not disgusting.
Kirk, you just got to find a good pinball machine that she can play good on, and she'll fall in love with it, just like all of us. It takes one really good game.
I think too, I remember, I see ND pins in here. Yeah, and there it is. Did Kyle get the email I sent him? Yes.
Ooh, your ears were burning.
No, I was thinking about it because I was reading it this morning. I did get your email, and that's good. It's hard to translate electromechanical stuff sometimes. But I think we will maybe do like a basics of like looking at, trying to dictate where you need to focus your eyes on a schematic lesson one day. Maybe when we start working on an electromechanical game. And then we will have a friend of the show, David Valansky, show up. And he will help us really figure out how to read and what we need to be looking for in the schematic while we're trying to find our problem. Schematics are very important to figure out like the quote-unquote logic level stuff, right? Like that an EM and how the mechanical brain works. But a lot of the times, the just like device level problems are very simple to solve. But when you need to bust out the schematic, it can be very daunting.
Yeah, we all love David Valansky.
He's the best. EMs are the best. I am excited to get that bow and arrow out here. Colin, though, that bow and arrow is it's a project on many levels. The neck is like arts and crafts plywood.
Oh, he's actually here, but he's driving. Now he's being dangerous because he responded. We summoned him.
Hi,
Keep
David.
driving. It's okay.
We've been behind the scenes planning on having you come on our show without even telling you. So
I know. We want you to be on our show. It's going to be PinTech Live with David Valansky.
Kyle is the student.
Position. I'll go dark.
No, you gotta be here too, learning. This is so tedious.
It's good. Oh, okay. So Pinball Homework, real quick. And since you're here, Mystery Pinball Theater 3000, I expect you to participate as well. The PinTech homework is really simple. It would be take a picture of your pinball repair project that shows you using Marco parts or tools, anything that's one of our product lines, and send it with a 1-sentence quote of one thing you've learned during your repair or a pinball repair tip. If you email that to me at marcotv@marcopinball.com, then we will send you some awesome swag.
Yeah. And we'll have sweet pictures and promotional things.
Swag. Could be a shirt, could be a hat, could be some cool looking key fobs. We'll discuss it. Send us your pics.
We've got some cool key fobs.
Share more pinball repair tips and everything on social media, and I think this would be a great way to do it since you guys are all awesome pinball technicians. And we want to get more people into it, like me, who's constantly learning just by producing the show. Kyle, you have to clean this before tomorrow. You're throwing stuff on the floor.
Nah.
Our poor studio.
I'll make sure it's clean on one side, but the other side, that's Wild West.
Kirk Hobbs, yeah, we talked about doing a waxing and cleaning tutorial. We've done sort of a cleaning tutorial. We did a ball swirl experiment show as well. We haven't done waxing yet.
We've done a little bit of waxing here and there.
Not like a full show. Not sure where I can point.
Waxing is simple like your car. Less is more, and rub on, rub off.
It's wax on, wax off, and you can watch Cobra Kai on Netflix and learn
there
the
you
techniques.
I still have to watch it. Yeah, and just try to use like a pure Carnauba wax or something. Don't use like a cleaner wax if you can avoid it. They are kind of abrasive to clean car paint. And while your pinball machine does have paint and could use some buffing, there are other things that are gentler to buff them with than a cleaner wax. So don't just go to
Dalton, My buddy, thanks for joining us. He's drooling over the Led Zeppelin over your shoulder, Kyle.
I've been playing it a
Wants to
lot.
put his high score on there. So Kirk Hobbs asked, is waxing something you should do to every pin?
No.
You want to give him your rundown?
Do it if you want to. Really, there are so many bazillions of opinions on cleaning, and I really don't like bringing this up because, there's 1,000 different ways to do it, and my way isn't the best way, but the way I do it is, I do wax some of my games, but not all of them. It makes the game play a lot different. I don't like to wax newer games very much. They just turn really brutal and super fast. I do like to put a nice light coat of wax on older games, electromechanical games, older Bally games that may have the teeny bit of clear coat that was applied 40 years ago, like wearing off, But it's a personal preference. Like I kind of don't like the way wax makes a game play sometimes. It just gets too fast. But at the same time, I do also like to put a lot of wax on my Total Nuclear Annihilation to make that game really, really brutal. So give it a shot. And if you don't like it, use a little bit of Novus or Naphtha and wipe all the wax off.
Kirk Hobbs has a Hobbit and a Medieval Madness remake. Opinions on should he wax those? And also, if you clean the surface with a glass cleaner, is that sufficient? Oh no.
No, you definitely don't want to use glass cleaner on the playfield. Do not use anything water-based, or not not water-based, but don't use anything with a very high liquid content. They're harder to control, and water and wood don't they don't mix well. You want to use again, this is my opinion. This is what I do. I use Novus number 2 on a cloth, and I give it a nice light rub down to get rid of all of the ball grime that is, imprinted into the playfield. Buff it with a clean towel, and again, sometimes I'll wax, sometimes I won't. I would suggest trying to wax the Hobbit. Be careful around the monster pop-ups. But see if you like the way it plays. The reason I suggest the Hobbit is because it is very wide open. And if you do not like the way it plays, it's much easier to remove than a Medieval Madness. So, I don't know. Again, though, I'm sure that there's a billion people on the chat saying that they don't like waxing. I'm going to look.
No, not really. Colin said, yes, you should wax.
Yeah.
Hey, the Phil's
Hey,
Pinball.
Phil.
What's up? Thanks for joining us.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So
Just doing
Kirk,
a
yeah, I
cute
do like to wax metal ramps sometimes too. But again, it's an opinion thing, right? Like try it, and if it works out well for you, do it. But someone was asking me a while ago about like playfield or the hardtop things, or the playfield protectors. I don't like playfield protectors, like for multiple reasons. But one of the reasons I really hate playfield protectors is I just really dislike the way the game plays with them on top. Some people like it. Some people would rather have their playfield covered, and that's fine. Good for you. But I would rather have a game that I like the way the ball reacts more than I want to have a playfield cover. I don't know. Just use acid. Yeah, it really goes down. It really goes down a rabbit hole because you'll go in like how to clean a pinball machine. There'll be like a bazillion different things. I've been doing this with Novus for a very long time. And it works out well.
Yes, and Marco Pinball, as a company in whole, always recommend Novus 2 as your main pinball cleaner.
Novus is abrasive. Will your arms
use a microfiber?
Will your arms be able to like wear the playfield out using that super light abrasive? No. If you apply Novus to your belt orbital buffing thing and put it on your pinball machine, yes, it will take it off, but, do sparingly. You got this.
Everyone took waxing to a whole nother level. Now we're talking about hair wax. Not the same.
I guess, yeah, there's a lot of...
We posted that in the links. Check out the Novus.
There's a lot of pros and cons to doing things different ways. There's lots of pros and cons to waxing your games, and if you like the way it feels, then do it.
And that goes with your hair too.
I do like putting wax on. Again, like I do like to very carefully wax the games like that. What's it called? Strikes and Spares, right? It's got the playfield's not that juicy anymore. It's starting to plank a bit. A little bit of wax will go a long way to make it much juicier. I'm so glad that this came out so easy. We're replacing sockets on the soundboard really quick. I'm using my Hakko FR301 desoldering iron. It's the best tool ever for this kind of work. I've been giving this thing a massive workout this week. I've repaired 3 different sets of early Williams boards this week, so I've done many, many sockets. Almost done. Sorry, I know this is kind of noisy. 3 more. 4 more. Sorry, I can't count.
3, 2,
And the last one.
1.
All right. Now, hopefully, those are all clean, and we could get this thing soldered
So
back in.
IndiePin says the out-hole solenoid sometimes doesn't get the ball to the shooter, but when I take off the shroud, it never has that problem. I suspect the shroud is interfering with the ball's travel. Have you ever seen that?
Yeah, definitely. Is this on your Foursquare, on your Gottlieb game? Look for the witness marks, right? Like, take off your apron and take a look-see and see if the ball is striking the apron at all.
On his Foursquare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes. Okay, so on electromechanical games, that coil is pulsed by a. I don't remember if it's by a relay or if it's a switch on the motor, right? But if you've got like a consecutive couple like dirty sets of switches, you're not going to get the full oomph all the way back to that coil, right? To toss that ball out. So what I'm going to recommend is look on your schematic and figure out which switches and which relays need to close to hit that ball kick out. And what you might find is some of them are dirty or misadjusted. You go in there and clean them, make sure they're nicely adjusted, and you'll have a much more powerful whoomph to knock the ball into the shooter lane. We do need to do an electromechanical game. Again, my biggest concern with doing that was that I was going to do something wrong and everyone was going to gang up on me and be like, oh my God, this guy doesn't know what he's doing.
No.
And now I am very relieved.
Panic Steve said, that's a really nice tool you have there, Kyle.
Yes, it really is. Oh, okay. Sorry, let me rephrase that. This is Panic Steve's delicious Hakko 301 because mine was stolen.
He's been claiming it as his own, by the way.
My bad. No. Well, to the jerk who stole it from me at California Extreme a year and a half ago, please give it back. Otherwise, yes, thank you. It is the best tool. I actually had to screw it up, and I need to buy you some new parts. I had to ream out the tip. The tip got clogged, so I had to hit it with a drill bit. Now it's all reamed out. It's fine, but we need to get a few more tips for it. So I will be buying those shortly. But I am putting it to good use. I fixed many boards with it. Some are Panic Steve's, some are mine, some are Marco's specialties. It is really a necessary tool. He brought me a very scary board. Here, let me show you a scary board. And actually, it's kind of fun. We have a test rig for this thing, and one day I would like to bust it out. This is a sad and scary board. This is a Stern White Star board out of a Viper night drive-in. I have one out of a South Park that a customer gave me that I need to repair. Batteries are mounted up here, and all of this dull nastiness is some very sad battery acid damage. These boards are incredibly difficult to repair and track down these issues because they're just so small.
You left the house lights on.
Look at all those teeny little traces, and you see how it's all fuzzy and nasty? We need to get in here and we need to verify that every single one of these traces is getting where it needs to go, and also remove any remnants of the corrosion. Someone has been in here and tried to fix some stuff that was blaringly bad. Can you see those 2 patch wires under that resistor?
Yes. Wow.
So this board boots up.
It's tiny.
And it does work, but the issue is this could be, this won't go away, right? We were talking about WPC computers earlier. This thing, the way it sits now, it will just continue to degrade. So we will need to start taking some things apart and addressing it. I hate working on these things. But the problem is you really do need to save these things because replacements are non-existent, and when they are, they're extremely expensive. But we'll be able to do it. Won't do it on this show. I'm probably going to be swearing a lot while I do it, but we'll get it. It's kind of hard to see. You might not even be able to see it on the camera, but
yeah, we can see. Wait. There you go. It's like brown, right?
Yeah, a combination of brown and green. But what we're going to do is, first thing we do is we are going to unsolder the affected area. We know these components are good because the game boots up in place. So the first thing we're going to do is remove all these affected components. We are going to neutralize and physically remove some of the corrosion as much as we can. But then what we need to do is very carefully, while we remove it, is make sure we do not damage these traces. They're so small. We need to verify that each of them, like think of these all as roads, right? There's a map where all these things go. We need to make sure they get from spot to spot. The corrosion eats away at the metal and degrades their ability to act as a road. It's fixable.
That's crazy.
It is very fixable, but these are very delicate. So, we'll see. But this is a scary board. These are scary. This is so much easier to work on, but we got to keep it alive. I think we have a White Star test fixture too, so I want to bust that out and we could use it to test the game in, since I do not have a White Star game here. You can power these boards up on the bench using a PC power supply, but it's nice to be able to have an actual game to test things in. I think one of the annoyances, or one of the problems with this board is that the volume is wacky. Even though the corrosion is not in the sound section, it's not helping.
Great.
Look at David helping indie pins. Thank you.
I know, isn't he great? Just goes out of his way. Save pinball. It's all about saving pinball.
Oh yeah, David has a YouTube channel that he does have some good videos on. I've looked through a few of them and they would very much be helpful to people's.
Nice.
I would like to do a Gottlieb score reel video. That's something I definitely could manage to do.
This one is pretty common, and we're going to talk about sort of what are all the switches and what do they do? How should they be?
That's amazing. Yeah, everyone needs to watch that video that David just put up, especially if you have an electromechanical game.
I'm going to post it on our Facebook one day.
That's the biggest thing, right? Like, that is the #1 cause of electromechanical game not starting up, especially a Gottlieb game. They're notorious for having very sticky, screwed up score reels. The Williams and Bally games generally don't need their score reels taken apart and cleaned and freed up the way that the Bally or the Gottlieb game. But, yeah, no, it hurts. I'm not going to do it on my Grand Prix unless I need to. There's a lot of score reels in that dang game. Speaking of which, has anyone ever moved a pinball machine and it suddenly starts working better after you move it? Because that sure happened with my Grand Prix.
The EM Repair Clinic is free, Colin Baxter. You just have to sign up in time.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Sure
Unfortunately, it's always while I'm working. But I guess I could.
It's awesome. Even if you don't have a specific problem, like I jump in there as much as I can. I actually missed this last one, the sign up. But you can just observe, and it's a great place to learn schematics, readings for EMs and stuff like that. Like they go all out to helping everyone kind of get their games up and running.
I feel like since I don't actually fix pinball machines every day anymore, I'm like losing my pinball juju.
You need to go in the class.
I need to spend more time, reading and watching.
This pinball class, absolutely.
I'm gonna put this on this way because I'd like it facing away from the tracer.
Oh yeah, see, David's calling you out. Kyle, the next clinic is Saturday at noon Pacific. Are you working then?
At noon? No, actually, my coworker Dominic and I will be in here fixing and working on his Liberty Bell. So I should sign up.
You should join up. David, I just tried to get into the audience, but I think the invitations are closed if you go to the link. I know he closes them pretty soon after the post. But
we will definitely have it on the We'll definitely have it on the computer here while we are working on our Liberty Bell project.
So Kyle, we have about 15 more minutes. This is where we would usually open up our Q&A. Since we did Q&A all day today, anyone else have any last questions for Kyle?
No one asked me for any life advice. I'm kind of glad.
Also, don't forget the PinTech homework. I'm going to post that on Facebook later too. Next week, we are going to be doing another fun flipper rebuild. Right, Kyle?
Yeah, as long as I could get those coil stops.
Oh, sure. We're probably, maybe, going to do a Bally flipper rebuild on that strikes and spares right there.
Even if we only do half, that's still fine. But
yeah, and if you ever want to see flipper rebuild episodes, we have them for several other machines on our YouTube channel. We've done a roller games, fire. Did we do one on fire?
Yeah, I think we did fire. We very quickly did one on Indy 500, but it's mostly the same as the System 11 stuff. We did Lady Luck. We did the Bally linear flippers, my favorite flippers.
Yeah. Indypins, if you still sign up for his notifications on the Phone with Pinball, you'll get an email several days ahead of time to register for the next one. So yeah, registration's closed. Wicked Pissa Pinball Pit.
Hey.
Asked, does it matter what gauge wire you use for doing those board jumpers?
I mean, I guess it depends on if it's carrying high voltages, right? But nothing on this is higher than 12 volts, I think. So, I mean, if we were doing a DMD controller and it was carrying 190 volts or whatever, we might not want to use that teeny wire. I don't know. I'm not going to give an answer for that one. But most of this stuff is logic level, so using a thin Kynar wire, I think I showed off once, is what I would do. Little 5-volt signals. I'm sure that there is actual math involved in figuring out the gauge of wire and its maximum capacities. But yeah, I think this looks like it's 30 gauge or 28 gauge, just patch wire. It's a solid core wire. The reason I'm going to keep this here is because whoever did a lot of the work on this board absolutely knew what they were doing and used the correct stuff. So I'm not going to worry about it so much. Some weird things on this board though. I kind of want to find the heat sink for this transistor here. This thing gets hot. Even though this game isn't going to be on a ton, I'd still probably want to put it back normal. But yeah. This came out okay. I'm excited to go plug it in this weekend and see if we have flash noises again. So
nice. Good luck. I hope you do.
Yeah, we'll see. Maybe this will be the thing that defeats me this weekend.
Alan Baxter decided to ask you a life question.
Oh no.
And he says, so Kyle, I've been stuck, and you did this to yourself. I've been stuck at home since March last year. I'm going nuts. What can I do besides pinball? And besides joining us for PinTech Live every Thursday. Thank you for that comment.
Catch up on television.
Yeah.
I see when we first went into lockdowny kind of like stay at home stuff, I was just like so tickled pink and happy because I am like
Caught up
just
with
as
video
happy
games.
being out like doing socially kind of things at the pinball bar, playing games with people, whatever, that I am cooped up in my room playing video games like for 8 hours straight. I love it, right? So pick up a new hobby. Play a video game you've never played before. Watch Star
how
Trek
can you
The
be
Next
bored?
Generation from start to finish. That's what I'd be doing. If I got to stay home, I would just continue binging Star Trek. Watch Star Trek Deep Space Nine if you've never watched it. That's the best Star Trek series. Fight me.
Learn to read, Indy Pin said.
Yeah, learn to read.
No, yeah, you can learn to read by playing video games. Just play an RPG, and there'll be lots of reading.
Build a computer. That's fun. Actually, now's a bad time to build a computer because parts are super expensive. Buy a screwed up circuit board and learn how to fix it.
Nice.
Rebuild an automatic transmission. That's a very easy task.
Yeah. Change your oil and brake pads so when you can go out, your car will be ready.
Yeah, buy a project car
Good
that
reading.
just needs a fuse. Buy a project pinball machine that just needs a fuse. Buy the cheapest pinball machine you can and make it work.
Yeah, or retheme it. Oh, wait, Kyle doesn't like that, but you should retheme it.
It depends on what game you ruin, and then we'll see.
See, but he said keyword ruin. That's messed up. You could be making it better. And speaking of which, Nolan asked if there's a game that you irrationally dislike. Irrationally because all pinball games are great. He said his is Class of 1812. So which game, if we were going to ruin by customizing it and retheming it, which game would you like us to use?
You know, that's hard. I mean, I really don't hate any game. Like, there's games I definitely like more than others, but I mean, the better answer would be like, I could very easily give you the answer of what game does everyone else like love, but you just don't understand. I could give you that answer pretty easy. But
What is it?
Whitewater, I don't get why people like that game so much. It's just another, it's just a pinball machine. It doesn't like I don't get why people love that thing so much. Irrationally hate. I mean, Gottlieb games are too easy.
Nolan loves Whitewater. You got a
I don't get-
capital OMG.
And again, no, it's not a bad game. It's not like it's not a bad pinball machine, but I don't understand why people are so passionately into Whitewater. I don't know. That's a hard one. I think
everyone's been watching through Star Trek.
Good.
Daddy has been binge watching DS9. Watched all the Star Trek series.
Deep Space
So
Nine
you
is.
guys are Trekkies.
I would like to.
Then you all should watch my feature film that is a Star Trek fan film that Kyle still hasn't watched.
Let's have a watch party.
Yeah, you should watch it. I think they've fixed the audio, but it's on YouTube. It's called The First Frontier. It's the Enterprise's first mission with Robert April. That's all I'm giving you.
Good old Captain April. Is anyone else excited for the Captain Pike? What is the new one called? Strange New Worlds or something? It looks like they just started filming it too. Someone posted like some funny like crew COVID precaution posters. That's very exciting to see Anson Mount be Captain Pike again. I need to catch up on Star Trek Discovery. I don't know if anyone else is into the more modern Star Treks. During the quarantine period, though, I did rewatch Enterprise. I used to not like Star Trek Enterprise, and honestly, that is a great show, and people need to give it another chance. It really found its footing in season 3, and it should not have been canceled. Great show. Great television.
Jagar can't wait for the Pike series.
It's gonna be so cool. It's fun. I don't know. It makes me upset to see people like not liking Discovery because it's like they keep changing canon. But it's like, look, we need some new Star Trek, right? We need to move forward. We need to do some new stuff. So, okay, one more socket, but I'm not doing that today.
This took us 4 years to make, and I believe the budget was $300,000.
Whoa. David spoke to a friend the other day who's working her way through all the Star Trek series, working in star date order. That's insane. I mean, that sounds, oh my gosh. I don't know if I could deal with that. I really think, I don't know. That seems like a lot of effort, but that sounds enjoyable, especially if you're stuck at home. One more, and then we get to figure out if I put one of these capacitors in backwards and it goes up in a nice spit of flame. But I'm pretty sure these are the only two that we're facing up. And this one has a polarity symbol. This one has a polarity symbol shared with those, so I think we're good.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow, some people are calling in from New Zealand into the EM pinball repair
That's awesome.
clinic. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Stargate.
no, Enterprise is the first Star Trek. Enterprise was about is the first ship that could reach warp.
Oh yeah, so she already messed up because she was supposed to watch the First Frontier fan film that was the original first mission.
Well, but that was the first mission of the Enterprise. This was the NX Enterprise, NX-01, the actual first Enterprise.
Maybe it is that one.
What about First Contact? Well, First Contact is about the Borg, isn't it? That's the first contact with, I thought. Maybe I'm wrong. It's been a long time since I've seen the Next Generation movies, but I'd really like to watch those.
I don't know.
Especially, my wife and I are getting a new TV, so I'd really can't wait to watch her like roll her eyes massively when the first thing I want to watch is one of the Next Generation movies.
Oh, David, that's awesome. They need to do. There's been a lot of pinball going on in France too. Maybe they can get on this and help organize sessions for French pinball repair. 4 a.m. his time, and he jumps in.
Jeez.
From Australia.
Yeah, that's
awesome.
dedication.
It's worth it though. That's
hey, we've got like sometimes on the weekend. I mean, I think our friend. We have people from Europe that join us on this show every week. I mean, Daniel is from Croatia. Tilt Oslo is from Oslo. It's what I mean. I think Germany is 8 hours ahead from here. Most of Eastern Europe is so.
Yep. Well,
Insurrection.
Kyle, I know you could be here for the next 3 hours.
Yeah. You're right.
But you gotta shut the lights off.
Yeah, I got to go get my beer. That's the important thing.
Get your beer.
Good news is, though, like going forward, Jungle Lord works. So we are going to jump in on Jungle Lord eventually. That's going to be really fun. I wanted to make sure that we had the computer booting before we jumped in, because we've already done, the episode on interconnect and this and that. So that'll be a fun one. Jungle Lord's one of my favorite games. Everyone needs to love it.
We'll do Jungle Lord at the beginning of February.
Okay.
Should be awesome.
That'll be like, we'll be working on it on our 1 year anniversary of doing this show.
Oh, what day is that?
I don't know, March sometime. Be curious to see how much shorter my hair was a year ago. Haven't cut it since.
Roller game Turbo.
When did we start?
April. I think April.
Hey, look we have a friend here from Sweden too.
Oh, see, Nolan's retheming a Jungle Lord. Awesome. What is your
Goodness, that's mean. Jungle Lord is a perfect theme.
Maybe it's gonna be Jungle Lord.
I'm just kidding. Jungle Lord is kind of ridiculous, so I don't blame you.
Jungle Lady.
Time for Thirsty
we have a
Thursday.
Jungle
Yes,
Queen.
I am quite
Jungle
thirsty,
Princess.
Colin.
Oh, yeah. Let me repost the homework. Oh, that's not the homework. That is a YouTube link. So the homework is take a picture, or maybe you already have a picture that has one of your repair projects working with Marco Pinball parts or tools, and email it to me with a quote of one thing you learned from the repair or just a pinball repair tip that's relevant to it.
Wait,
Use it for social
PinDaddy41 is
media.
asking for hair conditioner. I need to look. I've been using this stuff my wife bought me, and it's nice because it makes my hair smell like coconuts. I'm very much looking forward to cutting my hair soon, though. It's kind of
coconut oil on your hair.
ridiculous.
Is that it? All right. So send us your repair pics that show you using Marco parts with a one-sentence quote of one thing you've learned during your repair, or just a general repair tip.
Yeah, and it counts if you
me.
say always be tightening. That is totally a valid tip. So
Now we're just gonna get a bunch of pictures with people saying always be tightening.
well, but now we know who to reward who uses a different phrase. I don't know.
Great.
Anywho, we'll probably be streaming again on Monday. I can't stream from here tomorrow due to internal things going on with Marco. But I think what we might
do unofficial PinTech live
yeah,
stream.
we'll probably do an unofficial PinTech on Monday of just reassembling the Simpsons.
Yeah.
I took our Simpsons apart so we could make that plastic set. And hopefully by Monday I'll be able to have the decals put back on the ramp. If not, we'll just put the game back together and start working on that. Yeah, so you'll see me back here. We'll have some fun. I'm trying to find impromptu times to keep popping in and streaming during the week. And next week I should have a few opportunities. So if you want to spend some time, do more Q&A, we can do it.
Yeah, that sounds great. I hope you do.
I fixed it by wiggling the cable. That's why Chris paid me the big
valid.
bucks, David, just because I'm a good cable wiggler.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and raid since we are Twitch. We did Twitch only today, y'all.
Really?
I feel like we lost some of our friends.
Yeah, I feel like we need to do another dedicated Q&A thing again when we can broadcast to all places. I want to
Who are
answer.
we gonna raid? Do we want to raid Cosmic Cartage Arcade?
Manu, go get online. Go start
Great
streaming.
job, Spaghetti. The Pin Basement. Pinball.
Fliptronic, are you guys
Oh,
still
that's
here?
Richard.
Go start streaming. We want to raid you.
Indiana. Oh, I think Manu just started streaming.
Oh, good. Let's jump on.
Maybe.
Thanks for the tips and trivia. No problem. I need to work on a pinball trivia book. I've got some really nerdy questions. I love pinball trivia.
Well, if you bring a pinball trivia question to the chat, then whoever gets it right, we can give them some gifts.
That would be fun. We've got, my favorite one is, wait, hold on. Let me remember what the question. What is the one pinball machine that works on the, wait. No, I can't say it now. I got to make sure I do it right. There's one or two pinball machines. I think there's only one that uses the Bally 6803 hardware system, but a Williams soundboard. I think there's only one game. I'll give you kudos if you can figure that out. And if there are two, I know what the other one is, but I think it's only one.
Worst trivia question ever.
Oh, whatever.
Roller Pinball came in to just say that.
Whatever.
We said this whole show.
Name the last pinball machine that uses inline flippers, Bally inline flippers. I'll give you all the real hard ones. Those are the best.
Cosmic Cottage Arcade is streaming Baywatch.
Oh yeah, let's do some Baywatch. I need to fix Baywatch. I can't stand looking at it still. We
I
gotta
wanna
make
go
this
watch some
happen.
Baywatch.
I gotta turn around and play a game of Led Zeppelin before I clean up and before I go do my beer run. So I've been getting some good scores. I think Dominic is still number 1. Dominic is number 1 at 151 and number 1. I'm number 2. I scored 2. 128 million. Oh, I've knocked Panic Steve off the board.
Time to end the stream.
But okay, bye everybody. Thanks for coming. You guys rule.
Let's go hang out in Baywatch for a few minutes before Kyle gets his burr.
Yeah, let's go watch some
Thank you
Baywatch.
everyone for joining us. Don't forget your homework. See you next week.
Bye. Go on live. Go on live.